no 100 Thieves action for 2 months. It sucks. Why do we have to suck? Bro, what are you stressing over? We had a great season, and now things really kick off. What are you talking about? Haha. No, just you wait. I thought you were a 100 Thieves fan. What? Look, if this is your first time watching 100 Thieves LCS, I get it. You've never experienced an international event. But if there's one thing you gotta learn, it's that once we hit the international stage, once we're out for the season, all of our region comes together. Well, we knew this video was coming at some point. We're hoping we could extend it another week, but alas, here we are. 4th place for 100 Thieves in the LCS Spring Split, which we'll get into how that compares to expectations and everything else in a minute. But let's talk about the Team Liquid series from this past weekend. I think after Game 1, most people thought this was going to be a 3-0 stomp. The expectation going into this series was that Team Liquid should beat us. Myself and obviously many others were hoping that 100 Thieves would win, but it was one of those where like you saw Dig warming up against some of the opponents that were struggling in a quicker way than 100 Thieves was. NRG was not in the best form this split, including in our series, and it took us to 5 games to be able to beat them. Team Liquid versus Dignitas, they did pretty easy work with them. So when Game 1 happened, it was like, okay, well, yeah, we're probably in trouble here. But we did bounce back. Talia all series was a staple pick for both teams. Pretty much whoever had her ended up going on to win, whether it was in mid or jungle, which we would eventually flex it later in the series. But it was potent. It felt like everything was hitting. And on top of that, you actually had a really good performance out of Meech's Kai'Sa. In both games 2 and 3, he played the on-hit Kai'Sa and was able to kite out some of these fights in ways that were pretty freaking fun to watch. Sniper in the first 2 games of the series was, not gonna lie, a little hit or miss. Definitely took a little bit of warming up on the stage, but even though we lost games 3 and 4, he stepped up pretty heavily towards the end, especially in laning phase. Yes, our team coordination was ultimately the downfall of us throughout the entire series, but at least in lane, you could tell he was starting to get more comfortable the more games he got on stage, so it's a really good sign going into the next split. We did try our patented Vygar pick into the Smolder to see if we could just burst him down, but unfortunately when you have a more coordinated team like Team Liquid was, unfortunately there's only so much that we can do. Every time that you would think that you would get in range to blow him up, couldn't really do anything about it. Oh no, you're fine. Hi. In that Smolder game, Smolder not only had a quadra kill, but he also had a pentakill. It was actually ridiculous. Like, if a team is good at protecting him, like, he could just take over the game, and no counter pick that we have apparently is going to work on that. I mean, maybe if we were more coordinated, we might have been able to pull it off. Because some of those fights were pretty close, but we just, you know. I think some of that was also on Yawn misplaying some of his positionings in those fights. I'm not fully sold that we were good enough to beat the Smolder comp. But look, I'm not going to spend all that much time on this series. Nobody wants to sit here and get depressed and talking about what was. Instead, let's focus on reflections for the entire season. I know some people were probably expecting me to talk about All-Pro and MVP. The problem is at the time of recording this, MVP ballots are not out yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save talk of the individual players and where I think they ranked at the end of the season after playoffs, after everything, relative to their individual roles and things that they need to improve on. Basically like a midterm report card for each individual player. I'm going to save that for next week whenever MVP is out, but please put in the comments because I know probably like 3 hours after this video is posted, MVP will be live and people will have their thoughts and opinions. The big question is whether Quid is actually going to get it or not. It's pretty much between him, Inspired, Blippo, River. I think Bucio's up there as well. But put down in the comments your initial reactions to MVP if you're watching this by the time it's out. But at least at a base level, congratulations to Sniper, River, Quid, and Ayla, all of whom did get selected for All-Pro across the various teams. Again, we'll talk about it next week. The main thing I want to focus on in this video is a retrospective of the entire season, because when you talk about expectations that people had coming into the split, yeah, we exceeded them pretty heavily. Even though you've got people like Blippo out here saying that, hey, 100 Thieves isn't much better than Immortals, and quite frankly, he thinks Immortals might have been the better team. At the end of the day, we showed up with clutch factor, which is not normally something you see for a rookie roster. Normally, the script is kind of flipped, and Immortals, with some of the more veteran players they have, would be able to win games that we shouldn't, especially in those close fights, but we were taking hands checks pretty consistently and winning them. We were just clutch, and you can say overall skill level, sure, we might be even with Immortals, but I personally value a lot if you have a team that can show up on stage despite everything else kind of falling apart around us. We had that 17-game skid in scrims during the middle of the season, which I'm sure didn't help team mentality whatsoever. But I don't really think there's much to say on like the player and team front. We beat everybody's expectations, regardless of whether you call us frauds in the playoffs or not. We finished 4th place out of 8 when most people were predicting us to be 5th, 6th at best. And I'm not going to live in a world where like, oh, had NRG been on form? They weren't. Like, we're not living in that hypothetical world. NRG might need to make changes. So, like, we beat them in a 5-game series where we probably could have won in 4. That's a dub in my mind. The retrospective I really want to take is on the fan side of things for 100 Thieves. I asked on Twitter, did this season make you more or less a fan of 100 Thieves, not just the players? Because obviously, at a base level, I think everybody likes our players. Everybody likes watching Quid pop off in the mid lane. Sniper, I mean, he's just a great on-camera personality. Obviously, he's getting better on the stage as well. You saw all the moments where he's smiling into the camera after he gets solo kills. Like, he's up there having a good time. Like, he genuinely looks like he's a young guy that loves being on the LCS stage and just enjoys being in the competitive environment. But the biggest problem that LoL Esports has had for the longest period of time is that, yes, we can make fans of players, but we struggle all the time to make fans of teams. And one of the big things with me in this series, obviously, is like pushing 100 Thieves fandom. Even though I think I've been clear about this, it might bear repeating. I'm like, as much as I love individual players, you could change out all 5 and I would still be a fan of the 100 Thieves org. I'm ride or die loyalty like that. So I was wondering, is anybody else kind of feeling that? Like, does this split kind of get you in the 100 Thieves org mood, or is it still just the players? And for now, at least, it's still just the players, which I think is to be expected. First split with the team, you got to get to know the people, you got to get to know everything there before you can really start falling in love with everything else around them. Like, think of this like a normal relationship. If you're going to fall in love with somebody, you get to know all the surface level stuff, their favorite color, their favorite food, everything else there. Like, that's fine. It's puppy love. You love these players, you love how they are. It's whenever you start to learn about families, you learn about the flaws that they might have as individual characters, start getting deeper at that level, that, yeah, that's when you really get invested. And some people run away and flee from that because they're scared of the commitment to it, but others fall hard. It definitely doesn't seem like we're at that point yet, which is fair, and I think will come in time. But now's a pretty big reflection point because while the players are going to be off, and the players are going to MSI, by the way, to boot camp, or at least not MSI, they're going to Korea during MSI to boot camp as a team and as individuals. So they're going to be prepping to get better for summer, which was the entire intention of this split. The whole point was that we get to summer and we have leveled up to the point where we can contend for a top 3 spot at Worlds. Top 4 will no longer do it this year. It has to be 3. So we have to beat out Team Liquid and we have to continue to beat NRG. So we need to level up, and I think we can get there. But the players will be practicing. We really won't see much from them until realistically June. On the org front, now is when you start prepping your summer plans, your marketing plans, your content, everything else that you're going to try and do to make people a fan of 100T. And this is where I think the most work has to be done. I mean, speaking for myself, we host watch parties here in New York City, and it's a great way to bond people to like the New York City LCS scene. And like, I don't know, you go to a bar and you build this physical connection with somebody that like makes the experience more valuable. It makes you want to come back to it more. And the thing with 100 Thieves, while I value our content and I value the apparel and everything else that we have, it feels like there's going to have to be an extra step if we want to get people to commit to the org. When I think about what makes me a Florida Gators fan, what makes me a Minnesota Vikings fan, or even like a Steelers fan, is the fact that like I go to bars here in New York to watch the Steeler games with other people. There's camaraderie in other people being fans of the team, because as an individual, there's little to nothing that ties me to them. Like, I don't live in Pittsburgh. It's not like the Steelers are doing anything for me individually on a local level, but it's the fact that I've got so many other people around me that makes you buy into that Steelers like Gins culture. And that's what we need to start seeing from 100 Thieves. Is like, you need to find a way to bring 100 Thieves fans together. It's great. You've done all the legwork now where fans are starting to pop up. It's like, ooh, I like Sniper. Ooh, I like how Meech is playing this season. Ooh, I like some of the moves that the org is doing, that Jungle Juice is making. I love Golden Glue as a coach. It's like, okay, those people now exist, but now you need to bring them all together. And Discord is never going to be just that, at least in my opinion. I don't know what the answer necessarily is here. My answer is always going to be like hold pop-ups within various cities. Be like, hey, this week we're going to do 100, like next split, for example. Say there are 6 splits of the LCS. Have a 100 Thieves pop-up watch party in a different city every single week. Players don't have to travel, but like the 100 Thieves org, like make it a roadshow. You have a partnership with Lexus. Do the 100 Thieves LCS roadshow, which is one content creator within the org that goes around, or maybe it's like Daniel from the marketing team as well, somebody that goes around each and every week to a different spot, not only just in California, but obviously like New York, elsewhere you could partner with local people so that maybe somebody from New York doesn't have to go if you truly can't commit to that much. But find a way to get 100 Thieves fans all together and to meet each other. And that's how you can really perpetuate these groups of people come together. But then people also see that online. It's like, oh, I want to go because there's multiple 100 Thieves fans. I feel like I could possibly have a home there. Then it becomes less like the players are what got people into the fandom at least a little bit, but then it's the connection with others and the connection to the org that builds it long term. I know I kind of rambled that a little bit and that might not be so clear, but again, I hope that makes sense. I don't know, at least that's what I would personally do. But I just want 100 Thieves to have a plan, like something that you can do that's obviously low cost. It doesn't take much to host watch parties, but do something, give away some apparel, be there. It will build a lot. I'm hoping that I can show how well that works this upcoming weekend when we do our FlyQuest one here for finals, which they've given me some merch to give away. They've done a lot to like really help build up hype for FlyQuest fans. We're creating like a unique FlyQuest fan zone for them to try and really make sure that like they can bond with each other and do exactly what I'm saying here. And I'll let you know if it works, because if it does, then that's my like thing to orgs that's like, okay, you should be doing this. You should be at least trying. But I don't know. I just want to see more people have the blind loyalty to 100 Thieves that I personally have. And I get that comes with time and like you need ways to get to that level. It doesn't just come naturally. Believe me, when I swapped over in 2020 from Optic, it wasn't just night and day 100 Thieves. It took me about a full year to get there, but I know the stepping stones that it takes to get to that point, and I just want to help people along the way. So I think this is the first one of these that I'm recording like fully outside. I think I did one or two like early on in the winter, but even then like I was in a jacket and freezing my ass off. But as summer comes, all of these will be outside. I'm going to try and do most of them from in New York City, or at least looking over this magnificent, beautiful place. But yeah, we'll be back next week to talk about the players. But for now, damn, this is a good season. It was fun. It was a joyride. It was stressful that last week. That Team Liquid match, I was more like, when we were like 1 HP away from getting so many kills in that series, I started getting frustrated, which I haven't been in a long time. It was so nice. But alas, that's it for me here. Thank you for watching The Rendezvous, and I'll catch you next week. Let's go Thieves, baby.